Bonjour, my name is Marie Antoinette, the youngest daughter of Empress Antoine of Austria and Emperor Francis I. I loved dancing and music, and I loved to play the harp at all our soirees. Mama taught us to obey. That was the big thing, me and my sisters. As a child, we moved back and forth between three palaces. My very favorite was the Luxembourg because of all the beautiful gardens. I loved to be out in them and run and play in the butterflies. I hated reading and math, and unfortunately, my tutors did not make me study, and I now realize that that was of great detriment to me. Papa died in a carriage accident when I was 13. He was coming home from the opera. So I was 15 when my mother betrothed me to the Dauphin of France. I left, and 15 was the last I ever saw my mother. I missed her so much. I was so afraid traveling to France because I didn't know the language, and I didn't know the people, and I didn't know my future husband. What if I didn't like him? What would I do? I remember Mama's last words to me, and I think about them often, especially now. She said, "Do so much good to the people of France that they will be able to say, 'I sent them an angel.'" On May 16th, 1770, Louis and I were married. 6,000 people were there. I was so overwhelmed. We never had crowds like that where I came from, and this was so different to me. And we always traveled in small circles, and this was such a big court, and everybody wanted to go with you all the time. I didn't like that very much. We were happy. Mama picked my husband well because we truly loved one another. Smallpox broke out, and we were sent out of the city. And Louis's brother, Louis XV, contracted the smallpox and he died. When the epidemic was over, my husband and I were called back into the city. My husband was now the king. I'm only 17 and Louis was only 20. We were far too young to reign. We didn't know anything. I admit I liked parties and clothes and gambling, but contrary to the rumors, I did not spend money outrageously like all those people say. After 7 years of marriage, we had pretty much given up hope of ever having children. When we had our first child, a girl, Maria Teresa Charlotte, I was so happy. Because if it had been a boy, he would have become the States. But because it was a girl, she was all mine. 3 years later, we had a son, our heir, Louis Joseph. And later, we had another son and another daughter. Unfortunately, my Louis Joseph died when he was 7. And my baby Sophie, just 11 months old, they both died of tuberculosis. I tried so hard to do the right thing for my husband, my children, and my country. But I admit, I made many mistakes. But once my children were born, and I became frugal and I stopped partying. But it was too late. The people hated me by then. One thing that led to the revolution, besides Louis helping the Americans fight their revolution against the English, was a lie. Our court jeweler, Charles, he was going bankrupt. So he made this 2,800 carat diamond necklace, hoping that he'd bring it to me and I would buy it from him. I didn't want to spend money on baubles, and it was so pretty, but our people had no food and they were cold. So I told him no. So then he went to my husband behind my back. Louis didn't know that I had rejected it. So he bought it and had it sent to me. I declined it and told Louis that the necklace had to be returned at once. Well, the Comtesse de la Motte overheard, and she thought she could make a profit. I did not know she was a con woman. So Jeannie went to Cardinal de Rohan and told him that I wanted him to obtain the necklace on my behalf. We went to the jeweler, and he got the necklace and he gave it to Jeannie. Well, I'm sure you know, Jeannie didn't bring that necklace to me. She sold it in pieces all over Paris and obviously kept the money. So when the jeweler demanded payment, my husband had the cardinal arrested for theft. Well, the people would not believe me. They would not believe my husband. They felt that I was spending money while they were cold and starving and their children were dying. They called me Madame Deficit. I never said let them eat cake. I don't know where that came from, but it was a lie. Well, my beloved Louis was decapitated at just 38 by the revolutionaries. I am here in my cell, praying and worrying what will happen to Maria Therese and Louis Charles. Oh, I know that I will be going to be with my precious Louis soon, and I pray that they will allow my children to grow and be free. I hid these jewels in the lining of my clothes when they took me away from the palace. And this box was what my dear Mama gave me when I left Austria. They allowed me to keep this, my one personal item. I'm hoping that this will help my children. They can sell these jewels and they will have something and not be paupers. I pray that my sins are all forgiven. And I forgive the people who are doing this to my husband and me and my children. I don't have much to do but sit here and think. And I think of those last words that Mama said to me. I am so sorry, Mama, that people do not think of me as an angel. I have failed you. Adieu, Marie. In just 10 months, Marie would be beheaded, and she never knew that her son Louis Charles died at age 10, after being bitten, starved, and tortured just because he was hers and Louis's son. And the revolutionaries were worried that a fractional party would go after him as the rightful king, and they would have a sovereignty again. Marie Therese had no idea that her mother was executed and her brother dead. She spent 3 more years in the prison before being released, and she was released to Austria in exchange for some French prisoners. She married her cousin Louis Antoine, the eldest son of the future King Charles X. And for the rest of her days, she kept the bloodied chemise her father wore on the scaffolding. all of this story was true except the story about these jewels in my box and my box. Annie, thank you for giving me the opportunity to make such a beautiful creation and to make it in memory of a woman who tried to be a good mother and wife, but just, the time, it wasn't there for her. So thank you very much, and now I'd like to share the rest of my box with you. Since you've been staring at this part for 10 minutes now, I so hope you all enjoyed my story. Hold on, please, and I'll show you the rest of it. Here's how I did the sides. Again, I am using my iPad, so it is a little difficult. Bear with me here. Here we go. And then this just tucks in. And I push it down. And here is the top of my box. Fix it up here. Okay. The pearls all going the right way. Excuse my doggy bed there. So here you go. And if you see, I made an angel stick pin up at the top there to represent what her mother told her to be an angel. They made the flower. What you can't really tell from this are there are layers and layers of appliques, about 4 layers actually, which this is not giving a very good picture, so I will also take a picture. So thank you all so much. I love doing this project. I do.